rate is of the households is 31.3%, which is rather high, looking at the EU level, which is 16.8%. And then the third reason is very well known probably to the colleague panelists from Barcelona, is tourism. Tourism is the massive engine that moves Croatia. It's an economic booster, but also causes problems with the rate of the real estate prices, the rate of rentals, especially in touristical sites, and the fact that in touristical sites, especially the ones which are cultural heritage, like the ones that I'm coming from, the city of Dubrovnik, there are no places to buy anymore, and there are no places to rent anymore, because everything is touristically based. So the government, we should not only rely on the measures that government is planning in the national plan to maintain and to manage the buildings, to have buildings energetically efficient, to have green infrastructure, to help disabled people in their buildings, but we also have to work with the local community. So they work on limiting further increase of short-term rental of residential units. We believe that is also crucial. The national plan on affordable housing of Croatia has an action plan, and just to acquaint you with a couple of things that action plan says, a couple of measures which are inside. First one, which is very popular, we will Croatian citizens up to 45 years buying a new property will not pay real estate tax, and they will pay only 50% of the VAT, which is a very popular measure. Secondly, we are planning to activate all the vacant properties. The statistics say today there are more than 600,000 vacant properties in Croatia, and the need is about 200,000. Third, we are strongly planning to work with the local communities, trying to propose building of residential units which are going to half be affordable housing and half rent. Also, the plan is to work with private investors, offering them easier procedures. In return, in their building of residential units, we are planning, they are supposed to plan a percentage for affordable housing. Also, a big point is going to be put on student dorms. Making more student dorms with more capacities, so students are supposed to live in student dorms, not in residential units. It's the same thing with elderly people. We are trying to work on making homes for elderly people of more quality, so they can also leave their residential units and live a life of quality in their homes. Those are some of the highlights of the action plan, and it sums up to numbers at the end. For all the activities which are planned up to 2030, Croatia will need about 2 billion euro. And we are planning to fund it from the national budget, EU funds, loans, but also, as we are looking on affordable rent, we are counting in the rent that's going to be the rent that's going to be paid for the affordable housing.
These are very ambitious plans, and I really, I'm very excited about the outlook for Croatian affordable homes. I mean, as I was busy scribbling down some statistics, I thought that maybe the statistics would be similar for other cities. And actually, I'd like to move over to Barcelona now, to the mayor of Barcelona. Barcelona has some ambitious plans to reclaim the city, to make it more affordable for residents. Would you be able to tell us a little more about your plans for Barcelona, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to the European Investment Bank, and especially for the President, Ms. Calviño. And we welcome the announcement who has made the President to increase available funds to the cities and to the states to 10 billion. because housing is obviously a social emergency, because our cities cannot afford homes in their own neighborhoods. That's it. The facts are clear. Housing prices have increased by 50% across Europe in the last 10 years. So we have to change the current rules with urgency. Because I think we have two models in Europe. The first model depends on the free market alone. It assumes more building will lower prices automatically. This has failed. The market does not provide affordable housing where needed. On the other hand, the second model recognizes housing as a right that requires protection. It understands we need courage to intervene the housing market. So Barcelona has chosen the second path. We act through two big objectives. First, we are accelerating the construction of social housing. We plan to grow our public housing stock up to 24,000 dwellings in new urban areas in my city. And second, and this is very specific of Barcelona, we are implementing better regulations. We have imposed a rent cap, thanks to a national legal framework. Because Spain is an example of this new approach to housing on regulation. The Spanish government passed a pioneering housing law. This law created the concept of rent-controlled areas, where housing supply and demand are imbalanced. And Barcelona government declared our city to be eligible for this protection. In fact, it was the first decision I took as a mayor. So we are standing to see the results in rental prices, but by the moment, a 3.2% decrease in the third quarter of 2024 compared to the same period in 2023. On the other hand, we need a smart market intervention. Regulation in housing markets must be done with intelligence. Our goal is to add simplification and avoid bureaucracy. Reduce red tape, simplify procedures, create clear rules for all players. Markets need rules to function correctly. Smart regulation creates stability and certainty. Obviously, we need public and private partnership. We need private investment too. So we must stimulate private funding for affordable housing, create profitable models that serve social needs, and go hand in hand with the private sector. And finally, you mentioned tourists and the problem, the massification of the tourists in our cities. So we have taken an important decision in Barcelona. By 2028, tourist apartment license will be eliminated in my city. This means that potentially 10,000 properties will return to the city's residents. For example, Airbnb. We work together in this plan with regional and national and European level we work. But cities need more resources and to be more decisive. Housing is an European democratic challenge now, especially in this context. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I noted a few things there, especially this idea of a social emergency, and it really is. But I'm sort of reassured and very pleased to hear that both from Zagreb and also from Barcelona that you both have very ambitious plans and clear targets. So I think there are certainly signs of hope. I had another question about another announcement that I'm not sure has been made or is due to be made, but it's around a Mayor's Alliance for Affordable Housing. I understand that you're also working on this as well. Is that correct?
David, yes, thank you for the invitation. I represent CDP, the Italian National Promotional Bank, but also today we're here as European Long-Term Investors Association. Many other banks are here with us today. So I'm privileged to share a bit the Italian case with a look on the European perspective. So in Italy, CDP has been working on social and affordable housing, not so recently actually, since 2010. CDP is very old, founded in 1850, even before the country was united. We have been historically supporting social infrastructure by collecting actually retail savings through the postal system. So passbooks and bonds, retail bonds, by citizens and residents of Italy, and investing them in social infrastructure, originally exclusively through lending to local authorities, and this business model has grown over and over during the years, and therefore, what do we do under social and to support social and affordable housing? We have established an intermediated equity model. Quite unique, very successful. I have been privileged to witness it growing over the years. In response, in fact, to the legal framework that the Italian government passed in 2008 on edilizia residenziale sociale, so social and affordable housing. Our model is a fund of funds model, and we have a dedicated asset management company, CDP Real Assets, that I like to describe as a PPP itself, because the shareholders of CDP Real Assets are CDP, the parent company, of course, but also the private investors that co-invest with us in this model. And in particular, the other shareholders of CDP Real Assets are the ABI, the Association of the Italian Banks, and ACRI, the Association of the Casse di Risparmio Italiane, that are also shareholders of CDP. And why is it a beautiful model? Because it pursues a national interest, addressing social affordable housing problem at national level with local solutions. So I come back to a concept that has been described a lot before. And we do that because the private co-investors co-invest at the fund level, but more importantly, at the local level, where the local interest that they pursue is present. So, to give you an example, Fondazione San Paolo is co-investing with us in Piedmont. Cariplo is co-investing with us in Lombardy, and so on and so forth. This model is self-sustaining today. So only in the third new fund recently launched, we have started blending in EU funds. The trade-off is that the banking foundation accept, let's say, lower returns than other investors would do. So blending EU funds in our model could help, on one hand, increase affordability, especially in the south of Italy, where the construction costs are high, and the affordability is less than what we have in the north, and also de-risking our fund of funds, thus increasing attractiveness for the so much needed private capital. Ideally, in a way that the EU funds subordinate to the private sector, that can then receive that comfort needed and the level playing field that I think Piero was mentioning before. So over the years, our strategic approach to housing has evolved on what we call the 4S model. So from social housing for families to student housing, more recently senior housing, and the novelty of the new strategic plan is what we call service housing for young employees, nurses, people that move to Milan, for example, and cannot afford to pay the rent at market prices. And the common denominator of this 4S model is that we combine what we call the hardware components, so typically revamping of existing buildings or building new dwellings, with a software component, so community services, with community managers that ensure we create inclusive communities and not ghettos. As of today, CDP has committed over 1.5 billion euros, leveraging 3 billion from other private and institutional investors. And CDP Real Assets, a dedicated asset management company, today manages these 3 fund of funds, out of which FIA, the first one founded in 2010, has invested in nearly 36 local regional funds that have financed 255 projects, created more than 12,000 dwellings across Italy. I cannot project the map, but it's fascinating if you see it how we cover from north to south all our regions. In the most recent fund of funds, the Fondo Nazionale per l'Abitare, we have invested with the support of the InvestEU guarantee under the Social Investment and Skills window and established a partnership with the EIB group, with the EIF in particular, that for the first time is investing 300 million in our funds and in this asset class in Italy. To give you a sense of the social impact, 95% of the beneficiaries belong to eligible families that cannot afford paying full rents. 94% of our total portfolio consists of affordable social dwellings. 48% over the total are regenerated buildings, so nearly half of the portfolio is not building new dwellings, but refurbishing existing ones. 75% of our investments are directed towards energy efficient assets, and 100% of our investments pursue a carbon-free approach. So in 15 years, FIA has supported the construction and refurbishment of dwellings affordable all over Italy. I will mention 3 examples that also help me explain how we combine, let's say, support in terms of advisory and also co-investing with the EIB group, because one first project is in Milan, in the former Expo area, where we have developed a neighborhood, Cascina Merlata, during the time Expo was organized. So it helped also supporting people that were working on site. And the Cascina Merlata, that is part of a wider urban regeneration project, more recently, in the same area, in cooperation with the EIB, we are co-financing the construction of the new campus of the University of Milan. So this is to say that we look at housing, but we look at urban regeneration in a broader perspective. And here comes in also the support of InvestEU Advisory Hub and the joining forces with the other European partners and the private sector to transform areas of the cities that when I was a little girl were really horrible. In Turin, we are revitalizing the former Olympic village that remained abandoned for many, many years, converting 7 buildings into nearly 400 temporary residency for students. And one last example is in senior housing. We call it the Blue Space project for senior housing, where we combine dwellings with telemedicine services with Policlinico Gemelli in Rome.
Super. In fact, you answered both of the questions that I was about to ask you. So thank you very much for that very efficient response. And I've been busy scribbling away and really looking at revamping new dwellings and regeneration, which I think is very important. The other thing that I didn't mention because I didn't answer my second question is that partnership with national promotional banks like GDP is incredibly important. It's crucial for the success of this pan-European housing platform. So we're very, very pleased that you are here today and that you've already mentioned the benefits of working very, very closely together. Another crucial partner, in fact, for this platform is Housing Europe, and I'm very pleased that Bent is here today. Bent, in terms of scalable solutions that we can look at on a local level, I mean, are there examples from Housing Europe, from your members, that you would like to share with the audience today?
Yes, thank you, David, and thank you for the invitation today. What we heard early on was that what we need is a new production, more than 1 million more than we are doing today in Europe. And also, Martina, what you mentioned was refurbishment and renovation. So what we need is scalable solutions. And what we have done early on has often been also in respect to the EIB has been projects in different European countries. And what we have to look at now is to look at the existing intermediaries in the European countries and to use them to channel capital and funding at the local level to have this scale, because we have to go from individual projects seen from European capital, Luxembourg or Brussels or whatever it is, to use the existing local intermediaries in the countries. It could be Cassa de Depot in France, for instance. It could, in my own country, Denmark, could be the Landsbyggefonden, which is a national-wide fund you can use there, and other examples in the other European countries. And in some countries, we do not have these intermediaries. And then the EIB, in your case, Martina, could be guarantees from the EIB to make the scale at the local level in Italy, for instance. So this scalability is so important, and bring different parts together. What we have done in Housing Europe, we have a responsible housing finance working group, and what we have done there is to bring partners together, local housing associations, local institutions, banks together, also bringing EIB to the table, and in fact say, okay, when you bring all these partners together concretely to look at what is going on in different countries and make concrete solutions. Sostre Civic in Spain, for instance, it has been a result where we have scaled up there in the Spanish case, and in fact have made hundreds and hundreds of new homes, which was not possible if we had not have brought the partners together there. So scalability, using the local intermediaries, and using also the means of guarantees to scale up at the local level. So it would be the first advice from Housing Europe.
Thank you, Bent. And a follow-up question actually on this, because I understand that this is something of special concern, in particular to the members of the association. In terms of inequalities in the housing market and social inclusion, are there success stories or examples or something on a wish list that you would like to mention today? From
I think yes, David. I think we all have a very, very big wish list here, and heard it earlier on also from different people. Housing for young people. And the earlier panel, we heard this very sad example that. You have been granted a student, you could access the university, but you are not able to have a home in one of the biggest cities in Europe. So when we are looking at housing inequality, it was also mentioned by the Commissioner, it is about people, it is about the social fabric in the society. And what we are looking at now is a very wide scale from middle-income families, key workers in the bigger cities, and to the most vulnerable people and homeless people. So it's a very, very wide range that the housing crisis affects right now in Europe. That's why we have to act very, very fast, and we have to look into systemic solutions. Why we are sitting here and why we are discussing this today is because we haven't made long-lasting systemic solution in many of the European countries. And right now, I think we are facing a situation where we're looking to, okay, scale, it has to be fast. Many people, they are in need right now, so we have to move really fast. But when we move fast, sometimes we break things, but we do not have to make this same solutions as we did before, because some of the solutions, when you look at the different European countries, in fact, in the 50s, we had good solutions and we broke them down in some countries. So we have now to make sustainable, long-lasting solution. And it's green sustainability, and first of all, it's also social sustainability we have to look into. So it is solutions for tomorrow and for the next 30 and 50 years we have to create right now. And we have to look into some of the good examples, because we have many examples I think when we count in Housing Europe, we have 23 different finance and housing systems among our members. Our members have 25 million affordable and social dwellings in Europe. We have 23 different systems, and when we look closely into the systems, I think we have about 10 or less systems which are, in fact, sustainable in the long run. So when EIB make the funding, we also have to make conditionalities to improve and to push to increase the amount of the system which are functioning in Europe. And the good examples there you can make in EIB, you can make some conditionalities. And one of the conditionalities which I think is very important is to have these revolving funds, to reuse the funds again and again. In my little country, Denmark, in fact, we have a sustainable system. We have housing for students, and they can afford to live in our homes. And the key thing here is non-profit. It's not big subsidies from the state at all. It is non-profit system and revolving funds. So you create funds from the beginning and reuse them again and again and again and again. And I think it's one of the lessons to be learned, at least from the Danish system, and there is also other revolving systems in Europe, and try to say, okay, these are some of the best systems. How can we scale them and use them as examples in other countries?
Thank you very much. And it was very, very good to hear these examples from Zagreb, from Barcelona, from Italy, from Denmark, from across Europe. I mean, now I'm just having a look at the time. I think we have the opportunity. I'm looking to see if we can take a few questions. If we can take some questions from the floor. There's a roving mic. One of our colleagues will be coming to you. If you could please raise your hand to say where you're from, who you work for. If possible, if you could also pick somebody to one of the panelists to answer the question, that would be very helpful. We have the fourth panelist here, and the other four panelists from the first panel are also still here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? My name is Bajba Meltovic, and thank you, European Investment Bank, for inviting also another EU institution, European Economic and Social Committee. We are working with many stakeholders, with European Parliament. We heard very good interventions with Commission, Matthew Baldwin, we heard previously on. And also there are many interlinkages, as Commissioner Jorgensen mentioned, with energy, transport, and also infrastructure, because housing is really horizontal topic. From European Economic and Social Committee perspective, we are working currently on the opinion that is linked with cost of living crisis, because we need to also mention that there are still people living in energy poverty. I heard data that some people cannot afford, they are paying from their household income 40% and sometimes even more. So it's really increasing statistics in Europe. Another opinion that I would like to mention, and we are working on, is a request from the Danish presidency, the upcoming presidency in the Council, European Affordable Housing Plan, the contribution of civil society. So again, we will bring all the stakeholders, also many of you, to our house in Brussels to bring up also these topics in the Danish presidency and upcoming term. I would like to also say that ESC is keen to contributing to development and the future implementation of European Affordable Housing Plan, and also European Strategy for Housing and Construction. And I think some of the speakers mentioned many statistical data, but I think we also need to turn attention, and I think Zrinka, you was mentioning that, quality of housing. This is something that we need to turn attention, because there are almost 20% of European citizens that are living in overcrowded apartments or houses, and they cannot afford really their room or the space. So I would like to thank very much speakers for your contributions, and I'm sure we will meet in Brussels for the next upcoming events that we are planning. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, and looking forward to the event in Brussels. I think, yes, thank you. We have another question.
Hello, my name is Zrinka Raguž, and I'm the mayor of Budapest. I'm honored to join you this very important discussion. European institutions, national governments, local authorities, and the housing market players really need to work together to solve the housing crisis. The housing crisis is one of the biggest challenges facing Europe, but we need targeted and effective measures to handle it. But let's never forget, we are living a period of polycrisis. The housing crisis is closely linked to the climate crisis and the problems of social cohesions. This is particularly true in Budapest. According to some calculations, Budapest has the worst ratio between the salaries and rents of any major European city. High property prices are driving people out of the city, and the daily commute makes up half of the car traffic in Budapest. This undermines our fighting against the climate crisis. The high interest also contributes dramatically to the reproduction of social inequalities. So we need to act now. But the financial problems limit our opportunities. But I have a good news, because Budapest soon will be most likely own the most valuable brownfield site in the city. This is nearly 1 square kilometers of land has the potential to become a green, affordable and green new neighborhood. I'm grateful for opportunity to discuss with this project with the EIB leaders. With regard to this particular project, I would like to draw attention to 3 aspects that may also be important from a pan-European perspective. Firstly, we should pay attention to the use of urban brownfield sites, especially if they are publicly owned. One of the reasons of the housing crisis is that the urban population is growing, but there is not enough space to build new homes in the cities. Demand is therefore increasing faster than supply, pushing up prices. By freeing up brownfield sites, we can increase supply and reduce the prices. And in addition, brownfield sites are usually not very far from the urban core, so they are often an excellent opportunity for sustainable urban development. Secondly, we need to recognize that the housing crisis is too big to solve by public investment alone. Part of the EU funds should be used to create new development areas in the cities, for example, by creating the necessary infrastructure. In this way, we can encourage real estate developments that fit in with the objectives of the cities. Finally, the Pan-European Investment Platform would be very helpful in expanding affordable housing. Loans at below market rates would greatly help the cities to build partnership with the market actors to provide affordable housing for the citizens. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And unfortunately, go ahead. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I think we probably have time for one last question. One thing I would like to say, most of the panelists who are here are staying for lunch, staying for the afternoon, so you'd have an opportunity to speak to them. I'll also be here for the rest of the day as well, and more than happy to take any questions you would have. But I think we have one more question towards the back, please.
Yes,
please
thank you, David. My name is Luka Korlajt. I'm the Deputy Mayor of the city of Zagreb, Croatia. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on organizing the conference and on launching the platform today. And then I'd like to congratulate the keynote speakers and the panelists of both panels. I think we got some very valuable insights on this topic. I must say that we, as a city of Zagreb, have a very fruitful collaboration with EIB during our mandate. We have signed, at the beginning of last year, we have signed a framework loan for various projects from green transition, digital transition, infrastructure, etc. And at the end of last year, we have signed the technical assistant agreement for housing, especially for housing. And of course, we have some agreement related to public transport, etc., etc. So, but coming back to housing, I think that we have a lot to learn and a lot to gain from EIB. this new agreement would help us, this new collaboration would help us to expand both in terms of quantity and in terms of quality and in terms of affordability. Right now, in the city of Zagreb, we have only 2.5% of housing stock that is affordable because these apartment units are owned by the city and they are affordable. But we want to expand our housing stock, and this is why we collaborate with EIB, and first and foremost through the technical assistance, through which we are going to learn about best practices in the region and try to apply them to our case, to the case of Zagreb. So thank you for the conference and thank you for the support, and I hope that we will continue to collaborate in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. But before I hand over to Lisa, I just wanted to say thank you very much. A huge thanks to the President, the Vice President, the Commissioner, to the panelists we have on the stage, the panelists in the front row as well, for the questions, contributions. Please do try the portal. I understand that it goes live next month. We've had a lot of interesting discussions, a lot of helpful input as we work towards a pan-European platform. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your contribution. I'd like to suggest a round of applause to our panelists before I hand over to Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you.
And a round of applause to David. Thank you. Well, I'm not going to keep you much longer than 30 seconds to say thank you for sitting. I know we all need to move. We need to get some daylight and some food, but we'll be back in here to start again at 1:43. Thank you.
La situation parisienne dans la recherche d'un logement, elle est plutôt compliquée. J'ai parfois attendu pendant 1 an pour trouver mes premiers logements. Bonjour, je suis Béram, j'ai 29 ans et bienvenue chez moi. J'ai aussi passé par des agences, par beaucoup de plateformes spécialisées. On est tombé sur une ribambelle d'arnaques. Donner ses papiers, c'est justificatif d'identité quand même à quelqu'un qu'on ne connaît pas et